Hello and welcome to People Not Politics. I'm your host, Rusty Pierce. Today we have with us Mike Clark, owner of Crosstown Boxing, and also with us Gina Montoya Ortega, candidate for Las Cruces mayor. How are you today, Gina?
Good, Rusty. Thanks. How are you? How are you, Mike?
Good. So tell us a little bit about why you're running real quickly, who you are, and then we'll jump into our episode today on children's activities and youth activities.
So my name is Gina Montoya Ortega, candidate for Las Cruces mayor, co-owner of La Fiesta Bakery. Mi nombre es Gina Eugenia Montoya Ortega y estoy corriendo por alcaldesa de la ciudad de Las Cruces. Soy dueña de La Fiesta Bakery.
Okay, so let me get us started here, and I will just say that I had a niece approach me, and she asked me to be the 7th grade volleyball coach for her team. It's very hard for me to turn down my niece, so of course I said yes, and that's been my introduction into youth sports. So there is a fee, and it costs a little bit. It's relatively minimal for the volleyball. There's not a whole lot involved there. But what is your experience with youth activities? I know you have a couple of kids as well. Tell us about that, and then we'll start about how we can maybe improve them a little bit.
Yeah, so definitely. So I'm the mother of 3 children. I'm now the grandmother of 2 grandbabies. So eventually they'll be playing sports. But the same thing, my daughter played softball, basketball, my son ran cross country, ROTC. So definitely, and there's a need for youth people that'll actually help them with their sports. It usually depends on a parent or somebody that actually cares about children that actually have to step up, such as yourself with your niece. I mean, if you didn't coach your niece, they wouldn't have had a team. And the same thing, I know that Mike and I are childhood friends. We grew up on Sesame Street, Wade Street. And so, I mean, we had the need too, but now here we are as adults and parents that now we're having to, and it's worse. The kids need more help now. So
let's talk about that. Mike, I know that you help coach as well. You've got Crosstown Boxing. Talk to me a little bit about football. I know that's one of the sports that can be relatively expensive. Helmets and jerseys and pads, all that kind of stuff is expensive. Is the city covering that for leagues and schools?
I started coaching football back in 93, 94, when I transferred out of the state penitentiary in Santa Fe. When I first started, I started like you, and nephew came up to me and asked me to coach. And they say, I was doing it for about 14 years. I've seen a big drastic change in it. What I just noticed this year, I hadn't been part of it for a while. And I had a couple of little nephews who decided to play football this year, first year. And I remember their dad calling and asking me where he can buy helmets from. I said, well, the city buys that. They take care of that. And he goes, nah, they're not doing it this year. After I checked into it and I found out the city decided that they weren't going to cover the Bantamweight League, which is part of the city. The last minute notice, they started letting everybody know that the kids had to buy their own helmets. And they would give them shoulder pads, but not the helmet. A lot of kids, that's limited them, okay? Single mom can't afford to go pay $140 for a helmet. A 2-income family which barely makes it nowadays ain't gonna be able to buy that helmet either. So you're talking $75 registration, you're talking a helmet, and then you're talking the rubber cleats, and then you're talking about the football pads, and then the jersey. So you're talking easy $300. Well, parents ain't gonna make that. And it's either eat or not eat.
So what happened to those football helmets? I mean, if they had them before, what's to say that we can't use them again? I mean, are they damaged? Are we putting the kids' safety at risk?
And you know what? The thing is, they made a statement about it that if they use them, it's through the concussions going around that they can be set up for a lawsuit. But I brought this up to the Bantamweight League a long time ago. They used to send them out. This was over 20 years ago, easy. They used to send them out for reconditioning. You get a certification. Once those get cleared, those helmets, they get rid of the bad ones, they keep the good ones, and that's what helps cover the insurance. But instead of paying that, they've just been avoiding it for years. And if they gave themselves a lawsuit, it's by negligence of the city and the Bantamweight League. It's not because of the kids. It's not because of the concussions, the new laws. It's because they weren't taking care of it and maintaining it.
So they've got procedures, they've got facilities that they know that they can trust to recertify these helmets. They didn't do it, now our kids are suffering.
Yeah, now we take from the kids, we're going to raise the fee up on them, And then we're going to say they're trying to make it a reason for safety and political, when was they should have took care of it from the beginning. They could have been doing this a long time ago, but they refuse to put the money into it. They feel, and apparently I heard somebody sued because of a helmet last year, faulty helmet, but that's not the fault of the parents suing. That's not the fault of the child who got injured. That's the fault of the league not taking care of their responsibility, which all they had to do, because look, high school sends them out every year for reconditioning. They send their helmets out. This place they give a full inspection of them, and if there's damaged soft spots, they DX the helmet. They send it back to you, this is no good. When I coached at Zia Middle School, that's the first thing I'd have. I'd get the boxes in, and they would tell me which helmets were good, which helmets were bad. These were reconditioned. The first time I did bantamweight football back in the 90s, they did the same thing. They had reconditioned helmets. These are no good, these are good.
So Gina, as mayor, what can you do to ensure that we recertify these helmets, that we pay attention to these leagues that are being neglected for what sounds like political purposes at this point? We spend a lot of money redoing the downtown roundabout, for example. Could we not use that money for maybe our education? Or, I mean, is this city really ready to retire, which is where it sounds like, we're going? We have a lot of people who moved in from the coast, whether it be the east or west coast. They come in, they build their suburbs, they build their little areas, and they take over what seems like a city that has been here for a lot longer than they have. So what will you do as mayor to ensure that we're taking care of our youth and not retiring our city?
No, so definitely, so being that I grew up in Las Cruces, and I am concerned about the kids. When we grew up, we grew up in poverty. But these kids nowadays, if anything, they need more outlets. They need, the exercise to go and play football instead of sitting inside playing video games. This is going to make them healthier. So as a city, we should invest. We sit on twice what the state requires. Why are we not using some of that money? We have the Telsure Fund that we have $44 million in it that's used for humanitarian need, health reasons. How much more healthier can that be than a child that actually wants to go and get exercise and actually is going to make them a healthier person? Right. They're probably less susceptible to diabetes, high blood pressure, because they're actually keeping their body, our bodies are machines and we keep them nice and fit. So as a city, we should invest in our youth. I'm very concerned about the youth because, unfortunately, we don't invest in them. We don't spend money. People will say all the time, they don't pay taxes, they don't vote. But you know what? They're our future. And if we don't invest money in them and take care of them now, when they become a juvenile delinquent, guess what? We're invested and we didn't give them a chance at life. I would rather see these kids have an opportunity, do something that's good, do something that's healthy. Because you know what? I know when I played sports, and I've seen that these kids, when you're practicing, you don't have time to get in trouble. You come, I'm sure, to Mike's boxing class, and I'm sure he runs you, and by the time you leave, you're ready to go home and eat and go to bed. You don't have time to think, I'm going to go graffiti something up. So no, so definitely we need to invest in our youth, whatever that may be, and the helmet situation, that's pretty sad now. Then we're looking at a league fee for one child to play football, $300. Who's going to pay that? Most of these kids, they don't even have $1 in their pocket. Their parents are struggling to make ends meet. I met a woman today that was even talking about daycare issues. These people are struggling here in Las Cruces, so we definitely need to invest in our children because they're our future. And those are our future police officers, our future firefighters, our future EMTs. Who knows? Maybe our next person that'll go to space, whatever it may be. These kids, no matter what they are, they're still people too, even though they don't vote and pay taxes.
All right, so what are some of the other things that we're learning with the youth activities?
Well, I'd like to say something about that. Like Gina stated, a lot of these, they say they're not voters. These kids ain't voters, and they don't pay taxes. But, the thing is, now when we're bringing these kids up into our society, we're telling them their vote ain't ever going to matter. Their money, taxes is never going to matter because we already tell them what we think about them as juveniles, as kids. We got to let them know that, hey, you know what? And these parents got to let them know they have a voice. And if your kids are sitting there not doing anything with their lives, they're just sitting there playing video games or on a cell phone, or just sitting there with no activity, parents, that's a cry out right there. You say, you know what, I got to do something too. I got to stand up and say something for my kids. And the bad thing about it, what's going with our society now, is that I hear this all the time. Why do I vote? It doesn't make a difference anyway. And I tell them, okay, well, you're one person who says that. And then you take 100 people, and 50 of those people say the same thing. And then you take 1,000, and then you got more, and it keeps adding. And guess what? You don't say anything, it's not going to change anything. And that's the problem, is that we don't say anything. We don't go out there and vote and make a change. Something was giving us a right to make that change. Instead, we're going to sit there and we're going to deal with the same political problem that we're having. We're still voting. We're letting out-of-staters come in here and make that vote. And we're letting them make the calls of our area. We're letting them tell us, well, let's not give this to our kids. Let's not do this for our kids. Because they came from the big cities where that already happened. And they're retired from that. So they come over here and they put their money here and they say, okay, we don't want that. So let's forget about the Las Cruces. We're going to let this place turn out like Santa Fe, where we're going to push the locals out and bring the out-of-staters in and let them run the whole state, which we need to stop doing. This is our state. This is our home. These are our kids. And when are we going to start standing up for our kids?
And so you're native to Las Cruces,
Definitely.
correct?
So yeah, so as Mike says, that's why like I'm saying, I have voted, I've gone to city council meetings, I have complained, and so to me the only way to now is to take action, is to actually run. So this is one of the reasons that I'm running. Being that I'm born and raised in Las Cruces, I understand. I came from poverty. I know what these kids are coming from, and like I said, I see these kids, it's worse. It's worse for them. I'm sure, we grew up the same time, since childhood friends in the same neighborhood, Sesame Street. And you look at those kids, you wouldn't want to be those kids nowadays. Life's just, it's tough. So that's why we have to help these kids. These are our future, Yeah, they can't work, they can't do that, but you know what? That's our jobs, is to help these children become whoever they're going to be.
It seems like we have an influx of people who are ready to retire, and our children end up leaving. They end up going to some of these other states, some of these bigger cities, Texas, California, New York, all these other bigger places. We need, in my opinion, to change that. And the only way we're going to do that is by helping our kids, like Mike said, by paying attention to them. They are our future, like you said. And we are social creatures. If we're sitting at home in front of the computer nonstop, which, don't get me wrong, I have a computer science degree and I will sit in front of my computer, but I also get out, I also knock on doors and talk to people, 7th grade volleyball, as I said. So I think that we need to change that, pay attention more to our kids so that they will stay here. Do you agree with that?
Definitely. And at the same time, like Mike feels okay, we're focusing on one side, one aspect, people that want to come and retire. That's great. We need people to come and retire. This is what New Mexico's about. We're, Las Cruces is not a place, we're people, we're a culture. And we've always been mi casa es su casa, right? Our house is their house. Come in, our doors are open. But you know what? Let's not forget about the people that do live here. Let's not forget about our children. These are our future. We need to invest in them.
Okay, we're going to take a quick break and be back here in just a minute or two and talk more about youth activities and how we can help improve those.
So great, you can do all these different gears to the plan.
Okay.
Nice.
Other guys, not all, but
Hi, I'm Gina Montoya Ortega, candidate for Las Cruces mayor. Las Cruces, the time for change has passed. I'm tired of hearing of all the talking. Let's start doing something. Our youth and our seniors and all of the citizens of Las Cruces are depending on us. Don't forget to vote. November the 5th, Las Cruces needs a change. Las Cruces needs a mayor that's willing to listen to you. Your voice does matter. Your vote does count. And don't forget to watch me on the Candidates Forum live on the Las Cruces Facebook channel, Monday nights at 8:30. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Ray Bamberg. with Here on Earth, I would like to invite you for a free hearing evaluation to our office. We've been here in southern New Mexico for 34 years helping people hear better.
Hello, welcome back to People Mop Politics. My name is Rusty Pierce, host today, and we have Mike Clark, owner of Crosstown Boxing, along with Gina Montoya Ortega, candidate for Las Cruces mayor. We're joining us today to talk about youth activities, so I'm going to open it up to Mike to talk a little bit about boxing here in Las Cruces.
Well, I'm the founder of Crosstown Boxing since 2014. I started off here with a couple of professionals who I started working with. And I had 3 nephews interested in boxing, and I left the pros. I started working with the kids. And from 3 kids to 43 kids, that's what I got now. We're at 1209 West Hadley. Yeah, if anybody goes over there, we're a hard little spot to find because we have a granite rock and a body shop in the same area. So we got a little building there. It's about 1,500 square feet, but it's not one big room. It's about like an L-shaped level. We do what we can. Right now, we are the #1 team in the state. We're the biggest team in the state, and bigger than El Paso teams too. We have more kids who are participating. Every time I take my kids to fight somewhere, and that's the first thing coaches say, man, I see you guys on Facebook, and how do you do it with so many kids? And it's like I tell them, it's not what you can do with them, it's just giving them the attention. Not all are going to be fighters, not all are going to be professionals. They just want somewhere to go. Somebody to listen to them. You're, as a coach, you know it yourself and myself, we've both done it. You're a counselor. You're a role model. You're there for them. Somebody that they can go to if it's not at home. My building's small. I reached out to the city before to the mayor politically. I went up there with 10 parents and coaches who all been running out of local gym in this town. And we were lied to. We were told that they're gonna help us get a building. They're gonna help us with our kids. And if they couldn't do it, the mayor himself said he would sponsor us. I have witnesses all there. I haven't heard nothing from them in a year. So it just shows me that this new city administration, the city administration, the old one, has no concerns about the kids. It doesn't matter to them. Because let me tell you something. If they did, they would know they have a junior Olympic person in this town. Her name is Ari Carrasco, 15-year-old young lady. She just came back from Poland from fighting. You think the city helped her sponsor any of that trip? No. Her parents have to go fundraise. We help them fundraise. We help do everything for them to get this little girl to the national tournaments all over the place. I mean, Ohio, Tennessee, Wisconsin, wherever she has to go, she's #1 ranked in the nation at 125. Last year, we have another girl. She's out of my team. Now she's a professional. Her name's Amy Salinas. She fought in last year's Junior Olympic team. She went and fought in India, fought against France. Does anybody know about her? Now she's 4-0 as a professional champion, ABF champion, belt holder. You got Ariana Orona from Doriana, but she used to participate on PAL. And she's over there because of reasons over here. And she's a 2-belt holder, professional female fighter out of this town. Young kids. All these kids we have, and you think the city recognizes any of this? It's just not high school football. It's just not Aggie football. It's just we have a lot of diamonds in the rough here. And if we keep making the issue of everything costing so much money, and these kids can't go out there and do anything, guess what? They're the diamonds in the rough. And then we're going to sit there and wonder why we have kids becoming hooked on drugs, why our kids are becoming alcoholics, why our kids are getting in trouble, why is this going on? Well, let me tell you something. If you go to Sam's, everything there is a sample. You become a customer. What do you think happens to these kids? they ain't doing nothing. So guess what? There's somebody always out there willing to give them a sample, and then we lose them. Instead of them being able to have something to go to and push. At my boxing gym, I check report cards. I check grades. I make sure they take letters to school. I make sure the teachers and the principals have a card stating with my name on it that if they have a problem with them to notify me. We don't.
That's interesting. We do the same thing on the volleyball coach. We check report cards if you're not, and we help the struggling kids as well. As mayor, what can you do to help people like myself and like Mike here who are wanting to help these children, who want to keep them out of trouble? You know, I know we talked a little bit earlier about a lot of parents not wanting to vote, you know, because they don't feel like their voice is heard. So how do we get those people to vote? I mean, one way obviously is to help their children. So what can we do more of to get those people to vote so that we can help their children, people like Mike and I?
So definitely, I mean, you know, people don't realize that your voice is your vote, you know, or your vote is your voice. So if you actually go and vote, so we need to look at the candidates that are running and look at who's going to actually take care of these kids, who's going to actually interested in our kids, who's interested in helping our children. So as mayor, like I said, I mean, we have money that we could use. You know, it's really funny that we go to the city or you go here to city council meetings and all of a sudden people are like, hey, we need this, and we don't have money. But yet all of a sudden, you know, something else comes up and then all of a sudden we have money. So why aren't we utilizing our money to invest in our children? You know, what you were saying something about the young girl too, that one of them, you know, has a possibility for a scholarship. You know, I mean, had this child not, you know, probably found boxing as her outlet, right? You know, she might not be able to do a scholarship for, you know, so as a mayor, we need to advocate on our children. They are our future. We need to invest in them. Right. You know, and I know we have a lot of generous businesses. You know, I know that, you know, for example, I know Oscar Andrade is very generous as a business owner. I've seen him, you know, go to city council meetings. People got up there and spoke that our parks were not handicap accessible. There was not a swing that a child in a wheelchair could actually get on. And that was one of the issues that city council said, oh, we don't have money. Oscar Andrade right there stood up and said, I will donate $10,000 so that the city could buy a swing that these children could be able to swing. So definitely as a city, we need to invest in these kids. You've known me for my whole life, and I'm telling you, I've been there, I've done it, I understand, and I would not want to be a child nowadays because it's worse. You know, when I was younger, I played softball, and I was a pretty good, decent softball player. And I got invited, picked up by a team to go to Carlsbad. And it was $20, that's what I needed to pay, and my mom didn't have the $20. And I've never forgotten two moms, Holly Brunt mom and Cindy Holland's mom said, here's $10 each. They pitched in so I could go play. I understand.
Yeah, so the city oftentimes brings up $50,000 for a road name change, for example, and that's where yes, that failed, but that's what they were limiting that to was, well, we're willing to spend $50,000 to change the name of a road from Motel Boulevard to, they had a couple different options, Legends or Pat Garrett or whatever they wanted to change it to. Would you use that $50,000 to change the name of a road or helmets for Mike's football team? Or not necessarily helmets for his team, but you know what I mean.
No, I would definitely advocate, you know, in spending more of our money on our people. When you look at the organizational chart is not the mayor, it's not the city council, it's us, it's we, the people. And you know what, part of we, the people, and we pay taxes. We all pay taxes. You know, whether you're the poor business that pays, you know, pennies on her taxes, but she still pays her taxes, or you're a dealership down the road that has a multi-million-dollar business and you pay your taxes. You know, but yet we as taxpayers, when the penny little businesses or the penny little people, we're not getting anything for our money. So definitely we need to invest in our kids. So
not in road name changes, but in our youth.
No.
For various activities.
Definitely. Yes.
Is there some other wasteful spending that you see us doing that we could essentially put towards our youth activities as well?
Definitely. Even like the name change, not the name change, how downtown, to make it a two-way now round.
Right.
$7.9 million. What could we have done with $7.9 million? How many children could we have provided lunches for? You know, how many of your kids show up and probably haven't even had lunch? You know, or breakfast. Yep. You know, and yet, you know, it's like these are kids that are trying to do good. They're trying to be in sports where they know that they're going to be held accountable. When that principal calls and says, hey, Mike, you know, he is acting up. Oh, you know what? That's going to be extra laps or whatever. I knew that was growing up the same thing. But at the same time, it's these kids are trying. We are all not meant to go to college. We are all not meant to play basketball. We are all not meant to play football. Maybe we're musicians, maybe we're artists. Whatever our children are, if they're making the effort, we need to support them if it's something positive.
And that extends beyond sports to, let's say, cars as well, right? Auto shop. We don't do enough with woodworking these days. I know there was one of the schools, I forget the name of it now, but just had a woodworking shop. So stuff like that we need. It's not just the sports, but it's all youth activities that we need to support rather than change the name of the roads.
Definitely. So like when we grew up, that we actually, when we didn't go to middle school, we went to junior high. And in our junior high, we actually had a wood shop class. We had a home ec class. The kids learned how to sew or cook, the sewing class. We also had the ceramics class. All kinds of things that, it was able, that you as a child were able to explore other talents that you didn't realize you had.
Yeah.
And now, unfortunately, the schools have become about, we're not taking care of, we're focusing on testing. We're not focusing on whatever our strengths may be.
Absolutely.
But I'm really curious about the little girl that, that's now going to get a scholarship because of this.
And the thing is, too, like you're saying, we're talking about that. Why don't we have trade schools in this town?
Right.
Why don't we have any trade schools here? We have nothing. We have nothing. And our kids can't afford it. Most of the times they're not going to afford a college. We're setting up our children for failure.
Definitely.
We don't have no trade school. We have no any school, auto body shop, mechanic school, heating refrigeration school, just trade school, something they can have a trade at. We have none of that. You either graduate, or if that new law, leave no kid behind, really messes up. That's why our dropout rate is so high now. Because you got kids now who are 11th grade, don't even know how to fill out an envelope.
Or write a check,
Or exactly.
stuff like that.
Or don't
teach them basic life.
You've seen the
things.
reading levels; they're horrible.
Yep.
And I'm surprised. I'm like, whatever happened to a textbook? Whatever happened to level books? Nothing. We've taken so much away. And if we're lacking funding, what happened to that Parker funding we were supposed to be getting from the government for having it? Where's that money going? Because it definitely ain't going to our kids. It definitely ain't going to our schools if I have to go send my kids to go sell chocolate.
Definitely.
Yep. So this episode, we talked about youth activities, or perhaps the lack thereof, the lack of support for youth activities. And next time, we'll talk a little bit about electricity. But I want to thank Mike, the owner of Crosstown Training here, and Gina for being with us today. Thank you both, and we look forward to being with you next time.
I'm Gina Ortega, and I approve this message. Vivian Fritz, Treasurer.